opening of the South Dakota Works exhibit, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming, and please enjoy the pictures that we have up on the walls. I'd also like to take just a second and point out some individuals who have worked very hard on the photo digitization project. Lori Carpenter and Sherry Reed should be around here. There you are right in front of me, Sherry Reed. So if you have any questions about the project, be sure and ask them. Also keep in mind that we're looking for more photo donations. So if you've got photo collections, be sure to think of us when you'd like to talk to us about donating those. Also, we're always looking for more financial donations to keep this project going. So you can come and talk to me about that too. We'd like to ask Chad Coppess to come and talk about a little bit about the changes in photography over the last couple of years.
Thanks, everybody. It's a bigger crowd than I actually expected. So, taking a picture has been called a lot of things, like capturing an image or snapshots or different terms that all get used, and it doesn't matter whether you go back to the beginnings of photography when people were using a glass plate with chemicals on it to capture the image of what was in front of the camera, then moving on into the era of film, which lasted for a long, long time. It's not totally dead at this point, but pretty much been taken over by digital capture, which is more of a computerized capturing of an image with light-sensitive pixels and photons and all kinds of stuff that I don't understand, but I use it every day. So it's been a very interesting process if you go back and study the history of photography, how it started, what it was used for, and where major changes in the industry came from when, like, say for instance, the small Kodak Brownie cameras first were introduced. All of a sudden it was an art form that was available to the general public. Almost anybody could afford to buy a camera and take pictures. And all of a sudden photography exploded in its use. It wasn't just a small thing for scientists or specific artists to use. It was anybody could do it. And of course that led to what we all think of as vacation pictures and snapshots of the family on trips and that sort of thing. And at the same time, that started happening, and the ability to reproduce the photographs in newspapers, magazines, and that sort of thing came along and created news photography. And there's all these different avenues within the photography industry that brought things along. And this exhibit here, with its emphasis on people doing their jobs and working, it is somewhere between capturing what Grandpa was doing in his store and news photography of there's a fireman fighting fire back here. And so you see a little different aspect of the type of photography all through this thing, even though it's people working and doing their jobs. And as I looked at this, I thought it was really interesting that the archives was able to find photos from the huge range of around the state, the different communities that the pictures are from, and the different jobs that people are doing in them, and then the different eras and stuff. And then to see the historic cameras in this case, the different types of media that's used to capture the image in that case. It's just a great photography exhibit that has a lot more here than when you first walk into the room and you see the photos on the wall. I think those are going to be interesting, but if you take a look at the cases, there's a case over there with some early photographers from South Dakota. So it's really fun to see the history and the photography blend together. And then in my era, I started with the film, moved on into the digital. About 5 years ago, we switched over shooting digital only, and I haven't looked back. So I know what this digitization project here means. To come through all of this and come up with 11,000 images in the files at this point, and hope to continue on and grow. It's about the same point we are over at the Department of Tourism, retrieving new photos and putting them in there. We've got roughly about that same amount of digital photos in our files. So I completely understand the project and how much work it was. And it's pretty interesting to see something as old as some of these photos are come along in the same way that stuff that we are shooting right now today is. So it's been fun to see this project. I hope it continues. I hope we get to see more and more things coming through the archives and being made available to the public so that the pictures can get out there. I also understand, a big part of the point, the purpose of this project is to make sure that the original negatives and images aren't handled any more than they need to be. Digital images can be transferred and passed on and used without damage to the original photographs, and that's a pretty interesting thing that's come along with the technology. Where the technology goes in the future, we have no idea. We were talking earlier about that right now photos are pretty much saved, digital images are saved on DVD discs or something similar to that, computer memory sticks. 10 years from now, will we be able to play a DVD disc? Will we be able to read that memory stick? So it's interesting that we're still in a transition, evolution, and probably always will be, I suppose. So with that said, enjoy the pictures. Out in the lobby, we've got some photographers' exhibits there and stuff. And I have to put in a little plug for an event I'm working with, the Black Hills Photo Shootout. Any of you that are photographers and would like to come this fall to the Black Hills, spend a weekend taking workshops from professional photographers, seeing great scenery and wildlife and that sort of thing. We've got that going on. All the information's on the table out in the lobby. So thanks for coming.